Hey, Ross. You're on, Ross.
Oh, hello.
Fluff, I'm running for CD7 in Colorado, and today we would like to discuss President Biden's speech that we learned about today that is going to come on.
Right. And the reason why we wanted to run that ad is because we're actually going to discuss us versus them, because we found the speech that Joe Biden did a very much us about them speech, didn't we?
Oh, it's completely that way. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's completely,
it really was.
vote
But we're
for
gonna
us,
play
don't
clip.
vote for them. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was, there we go again, Joe. Right. Actually, I'm going to go off screen while I get this set up. That's my cat, Alton. And so, yeah. So while we're doing this, tell me what your initial thoughts were about this.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. The Pelosi, Paul Pelosi attack was a brutal attack. It was extremely violent, and luckily the San Francisco police did an excellent job. I would love to say how great of a job they did. Under 3-minute response time, that's amazing.
Yeah.
They were there quick. They did their job right. They did an excellent job. San Francisco PD should be acknowledged. They did an awesome job there. 3-minute response times, that's got to be one of the best in the country. In Jefferson County, typical response times are around the 10-minute mark. So, and it's less in rural areas, obviously. The further out you are away from the major cities, those response times even get longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were excellent. And Paul Pelosi, there wasn't a whole lot he could do. He's 84-year-old, and the attacker was 42.
Yeah.
That's a huge age discrepancy. I mean, you can't really run. You
And
can't
we
really
do send our
hide.
thoughts and prayers out to Paul Pelosi, right? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. We
and,
wish him
yeah,
the best in his recovery.
right. I mean,
for sure.
right.
Definitely.
But that being said, let's go to about 7 minutes. Well, this is PBS, so this is about 3 minutes into Joe Biden's speech.
Survived. All this happened after the assault, and it just, it's hard to even say. It's hard to even say. After the assailant entered the home asking, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" Those are the very same words used by the mob when they stormed the United States Capitol on January the 6th, when they broke windows, kicked in the doors, brutally attacked law enforcement, roamed the corridors, hunting for officials, and erected gallows to hang the former Vice President, Mike Pence. It was an enraged mob that had been whipped up into a frenzy by a president repeating over and over again the big lie that the election of 2020 had been stolen. It's a lie that fueled the dangerous rise in political violence and voter intimidation over the past 2 years. Even before January the 6th, we saw election officials and election workers in a number of states subject to menacing calls, physical threats, even threats to their very lives. In Georgia, for example, the Republican Secretary of State and his family were subjected to death threats because he refused to break the law and give in to the defeated president's demand, just find him 11,780 votes. Just find me 11,780 votes. Election workers like Shay Moss and her mother, Ruby Freeman, were harassed and threatened just because they had the courage to do their job and stand up for the truth, to stand up for our democracy. This institution, this intimidation, this violence against Democrats, Republicans, and nonpartisan officials just doing their jobs are the consequence of lies told for power and profit, lies of conspiracy and malice, lies repeated over and over to generate a cycle of anger, hate, vitriol, and even violence.
Okay, that's where I want to stop it. Because I think that lies inciting anger, vitriol, and violence go both ways. And this is where I think we got to call Joe Biden out. Because what happened to Paul Pelosi is awful. I mean, awful. Somebody broke into his house and attacked him with a hammer. And that person was psychotic. The end. I mean,
no doubt about that.
right? I mean, that is a psychotic act. I mean, normal people do not break into people's homes and attack them with hammers, right? That's just a psychotic behavior. And the fact that he was screaming, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" He obviously had a target. He wanted to attack Nancy Pelosi. That is also psychotic. Now, did he want to attack Nancy because he was a 2020 election denier? I don't know. I'm going to guess the reason why he wanted to attack Nancy Pelosi is because he's crazy.
Yeah,
right?
we don't know, but it definitely looks like he's crazy to me, for sure.
Well, everything that we've read about him says he's crazy, right?
Yeah,
Because
no doubt.
normal, sane people don't break into people's homes with hammers wanting to attack the person who's third in line to be president of the United States. See, that's not sane behavior. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. And if he was an election denier, it seems to me the person he'd be going after would have been Vice President Pence, who was the reason why the votes got certified.
Oh yeah,
But-
it definitely would. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi had
Yeah.
pretty much nothing to do with any of that.
Right. I mean, it seems like Pence is an easier target because Nancy Pelosi would have been in DC. He could have gotten to Mike Pence a whole lot easier. I mean, if that's his target, why is he going after Nancy Pelosi? There's actually easier targets than Nancy Pelosi. And apparently he had a list of people. So Nancy Pelosi is not his only person. So yeah, okay, I get it. But the fact is, what Joe Biden did was unconscionable. He just said, okay, we're not going to, people who use vitriol and hate. And then he turned around and he did vitriol and hate. So it's like, okay, so now you're going to hate these people and you're going to go after them. It's like, what the hell, Joe Biden? That was obnoxious as hell. And I'm going to call you out because I'm a libertarian and I can do that because nobody's going to vote for our candidate anyways. I'm not an election denier because I happen to know, my aren't going to win. So shove it, Joe Biden. That was obnoxious. Yeah, you know what? Someone's going to beat somebody else up and you're going to say, well, it's because of this. It's not. It's because they're crazy. Crazy people do crazy things. Hey, there I go. I said it.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a complete nut. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Right.
And yeah.
Right. And we know how you know that? Because what did we do before we went on this show? What did we do?
Oh, we tried to find out information about him.
Right.
And
Because
it
we
was
tried to
hard to
confirm
find a
that
whole
this is
lot.
actually, he actually did this because of the January 6th thing, right? That was our thing. We're gonna prove that was his motive. Yeah.
And
Yeah. And what did we find out? Were we able to prove it?
we weren't able to prove anything.
No.
Absolutely zip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went to CNN, we went to Time, we went to San Francisco Chronicle, the Sacramento Bee. I mean, we were trying to find any information we could find to prove that the guy did this because of January 6th. We couldn't find it.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't even find anything on what his political affiliation was or anything like that. We have no idea.
Right. We found out he was crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah, we
Yeah, we
found
know
out that
that for
everybody
sure,
agrees he's crazy as a loon, and his ex-wife is apologizing to Nancy Pelosi. She feels horrible about it. By the way, she's in jail right now because, she's committed a few crimes too, and by the way, she's a progressive and she just, she feels terrible. And she's just like, I don't know when he snapped. Right.
Yeah,
But
it's
according-
definitely a sad situation for sure. I mean, mental health is a huge problem in the United States, and that's just a prime example of it there.
Thank
So-
you. See, that's where we need to go with this, is because mental health is a huge issue in the United States. And what Joe Biden just did was so obnoxious. And I want everybody to see what he just did, is he just took the most vulnerable of our society and he propped them up for political gain so that he could get a couple of votes. Oh,
Yep. Yeah, right
God.
before an election.
Right before an election.
Yep.
Anybody who fell for that, shame on all of you. And by the way, I don't think any Democrats were that stupid. I hope they weren't, because if I saw through it, I'm sure my Democrat friends saw through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the, I mean, there's absolutely nothing in the news about, very little information on this guy, except
Right.
it did talk about conspiracy theories, but it seems like he pretty much believed almost all conspiracy theories,
Right. I mean,
whether
the guy
left
was
wing or right wing.
manufacturing hemp. He's like doing
Yeah,
nudist
yeah.
comedy things. I mean, it sounded like the guy was just searching. He just doesn't know what's going on. He's like, he starts going down dark tunnels. I mean, gosh, I get it. The guy was struggling. His ex-wife is just like, the guy was struggling. He was just going down some really deep, dark tunnels. And it's like, and I'm not excusing him beating Paul Pelosi with a hammer. Jeez, that is horrible, but don't turn it into a political advantage for your side. See it for the tragedy it is. One, see it for the crime it is, but also see it for the tragedy it is. There's this poor guy who's going down these deep tunnels and dark tunnels, and there's nobody there to rescue him. And instead of recognizing this, the president of the United States uses it to garner a political advantage right before an election. That is where we have sunk in this country.
Yeah, it is just really, really sad that
It's
that we're
not even
seeing this.
sad. It's despicable.
Yeah.
In case anybody wants to know what political division has done to us, here we go. You got one guy laying in a hospital after being beaten with a hammer, and the guy who beat him with a hammer, the president of the United States is using him to get votes. And I'll guarantee you, I haven't watched the news, deliberately haven't watched the news. I'll guarantee you the Republicans are using both of them to get votes.
Oh, I'm sure they are. Yeah,
Yeah, because we have stayed away from the news, so we don't know what's going on, and that's been deliberate. But this is maddening because, whoever you vote for, whoever people vote for, start holding them accountable for this bull. You have to hold them accountable, right? I mean, if you don't hold them accountable, they're going to keep doing this. And by the way, it doesn't stop with mentally ill people beating old men with hammers.
Yeah, it's not right to use a strategy like this for political gain.
But this is literally out of the, and I'm going to call the Democrats out. This is out of the Democrats' handbook. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
Yeah, we see that all the time, unfortunately.
Right? And it's like, there we go. It's like, somebody, Paul Pelosi gets beaten with a hammer, and it's like, well, you know what? I think we might be able to win the election with this. Really? That was your go-to? Really? See, I would have been thinking, maybe the mental health system is failing America. Maybe this is not the time to use it as a political advantage. Maybe what we need to do is re-examine what we're doing with our mental health system, because people are beating politicians' husbands with hammers. Maybe we're doing something horribly wrong in our system and our society that we would even think to use this as a political advantage. Maybe there's something terribly wrong in our society that literally became our go-to move. Maybe we might want to examine that, politicians, that we actually thought this was a good go-to move.
Yeah. What kind of help do the mentally ill have right now? There's not a whole lot of medications that are that effective out there,
Well,
unfortunately.
Well, and the fact that we're actually looking at mental health, mentally ill people as political advantages. I
Mhm.
mean, that should tell you all you need to know about who's
Yeah.
running this country. You
Yeah, it's
know,
just awful.
it is, it is the worst of humans right now. I mean, if they don't think that they have just descended into the abyss of 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 human excrement of where they are now, they need a reality check, because this is as bad as it gets. And this is as bad as it gets. Well, no, it actually can get worse, because I keep thinking of like that show Network, where the executives actually like talk about killing somebody on TV to up ratings. It's like, that's literally the only thing they haven't done yet, which, by the way, I would not put it beyond either party to kill somebody to get a vote. I mean, because they're going down these such dark tunnels, they don't even see it anymore. They're just
Yeah,
crazy.
it's completely awful, and both parties are responsible for it. I mean, you just
Yes,
look on the TV, and we talked about negative ads before, but just and it's look on the TV,
and
it's all negative ads.
right. And what Joe Biden just did was a 27-minute negative ad.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's a negative negative ad on their Republican Party, and yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And people bought into it. I don't even have to turn on the TV to know that people bought into it. And I'm sure that the Republicans are just like overwhelmed with pointing out like the inaccuracies and everything, like, and this is inaccurate, and this is inaccurate, and this is inaccurate, and see, this is why he's a liar. And it's like, I get it. But that's really not the big story here, everybody. The big story is that Paul Pelosi got beaten with a hammer by a mentally ill guy, and no one thought about Paul Pelosi or the mentally ill guy. Everybody's go-to move was how we can use this to get a political advantage over our opponent so that we win on November 8th. Oh my God. That's literally the only thing either side cares about. And by the way, that's the only thing everybody tuning in seems to care about. Nobody cares about the two people that are the tragic victims in this. The guy who got beaten with the hammer, and the guy who beat the guy with the hammer, because where he was at is like, oh my God, there before the
Yeah,
grace of God go us.
and unfortunately, that's something that's happened a fair amount in our history. I mean, Ronald Reagan got shot by a mentally ill person.
Yeah.
You had Rand Paul, who got attacked by a mentally ill person. You have,
Well,
I
can we
mean,
just agree that mentally ill people are the ones that are attacking? I mean, most people who are not
Mhm.
mentally ill aren't going around trying to kill politicians,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Um, yeah, and it's a big problem. I mean, it's partly the divisiveness of the country, and the politicians really need to work harder on doing what the people want too. And
Well, they have to stop using these crises to get votes and to
yeah,
get legislation and to get their way and to get their power. It's like if Paul Pelosi got beaten with a hammer, and a mentally ill guy who apparently just fell through the cracks into dark. See, I'm gonna cry because I just like get so upset. It's like this guy who falls into these dark cracks and these tunnels that nobody cares about. If somebody would have cared about him, maybe everybody's life, well, I'm pretty sure everybody's life would be different. But like nobody cared, and nobody still cares.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely true. And yeah, it happens all the time.
And it's
Um,
gonna keep happening because
yeah,
we're teaching everybody not to care.
yeah, that's the crucial thing, is we do need to care. Um, we have a mental health crisis. We have lots of other things going on. Housing crisis. We've got a huge amount of inflation right now. We've got tons of stuff. People are struggling, and that's making it worse. When everybody has a good economy, they have a home that they're living in, that's helpful. It reduces the amount of mental health issues.
And when you have support groups,
Mhm.
and you need things. I mean, you need the ability to have silos are good if they're positive silos, right? But we're siloing people wrong. We need to acknowledge this, is that we're siloing people wrong. And we've got to stop doing that, because people are struggling, and COVID really hurt people. And by the way, politicians, I blame you for that.
Yeah,
And
it hurt small businesses all over the US. They closed down gyms, so it affected people's health a lot.
it destroyed families, it destroyed
Yeah.
friendships.
Family separations happened
Right.
all the time.
Again, we siloed people, and we siloed them wrong. And now we have to rebuild those relationships. And we have to acknowledge that government came in and they took a wrecking ball to everybody. And what they did is, once they wrecked it, they went in and they're rebuilding it. And Joe Biden's speech tonight was a perfect example of how they're rebuilding it wrong. He's not building it back better. He's building it back horribly. And this has got to stop. Like, you cannot blame like MAGA Republicans. They didn't commit the crime against Paul Pelosi. And that was an obnoxious thing to do, to blame them. And by the way, I'm not a MAGA Republican fan, but I'm not an anti-MAGA Republican either. I don't care about MAGA Republicans. Sorry, MAGA Republicans, but I'm a libertarian. So I'm voting for you.
I'm the same way. I'm just a neutral observer. I'm like, I don't see anything for the MAGA Republicans related to this at all. It's a mental health issue. And the guy was just way out there on tons of things. And it's extremely unfortunate, and obviously it's a brutal crime. It's a completely separate item than the MAGA Republicans. It
has nothing to do. Anybody who thinks that the MAGA Republicans had anything to do with, the guy who attacked Paul Pelosi, you're wrong. You're wrong. It's just like Bernie Sanders had nothing to do with the guy who shot Steve Scalise. You're wrong. You cannot blame somebody for the actions of another person. People are responsible for their own actions. And you say, well, he read this and he followed that. Okay, but you know what? I follow Jesus, but I'm not Christ-like. It's like, go ahead. If you're going to blame the bad qualities on somebody, then find out why I'm not good if I follow good people. People who follow Gandhi aren't good like Gandhi. People who are, it's like, we can take this to the ridiculous extreme. I mean, if we're going to follow bad people, then everybody should be bad. If you're going to follow good people, then everybody should be good. But it doesn't work like that either. People are individuals and they make their own choices. And I go back to that unity conference that we had, which that was like so impactful. And we go back to that story with that woman who was mugged outside her door. And she said that it was the hardest thing that she had to deal with was when she had to deal with the fact that they shut the door and they locked the door on her while she was being beaten. And she had to go to her priest and say, I don't know how to deal with this. That people just stood there and watched me get beaten. And the priest said, you have to understand, God had nothing to do with that. Because she was like, why did God let that happen to me? And he said, God had nothing to do with that. The truth is that everybody made their own individual choices. They chose not to help you. That was their choice. That wasn't God's choice. And the guy who beat you chose to beat you. And the people who shut the door and chose not to help you, they made that choice. That was on them. That wasn't on God. The same thing. The guy who beat Paul Pelosi, that was his choice. You don't blame anybody but him. Now, let's talk about what got him there. Fix that
Yep.
system.
Yeah, the mental health issues and things like that.
Right.
And
We're
it's,
not going to
and,
blame
yeah,
MAGA Republicans for that.
housing
We're gonna blame-
crisis, and yeah, you
Right,
could
there
go
we
through the
go.
list of.
Right. The guy
issues.
had a home, he had a family. He
Mhm.
had stuff.
Yeah,
Something took him down dark paths. And MAGA Republicans weren't around 9 years ago. Well, maybe they were they?
let's see, 9 years ago, that would have been 2013.
Actually, they were. Were
I
they?
think that would have been kind of pre-MAGA Republican,
Yeah,
2013.
yeah. But I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, but he had a home,
Yeah.
he had a family, he had a wife, I mean, he had stuff. He doesn't anymore. Now he's never getting out of jail. I mean, everything's
true.
gone now. I mean, and I'm not feeling bad. Well, I am feeling bad for him, but I feel worse for Paul Pelosi. I mean, Paul
Oh, yeah.
Pelosi's the real victim here.
Yeah, he did absolutely zero
Yeah.
wrong. He got woken up in his sleep.
In his
with an attack.
home,
Yeah, in his home. Yeah.
right? Like, how will he ever feel safe again?
Oh, yeah, that would freak me out. Oh, big time. Whoa.
I mean, I don't know if anybody else, I mean, I actually thought about that. Like, what would I do if I woke up when there was somebody in my house? Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I
That's-
thought about it too. I was like, what?
yeah.
I'm actually lucky because there is a chance that he would just run away because I'm big, but
Well, actually it's funny because I thought about you too, because you're running for Congress,
Mhm.
And I did think about you because I thought, that's a scary thing. I mean, anybody could break into your house. I mean,
oh yeah, they could just
you don't
kick the
have a
door in.
detail.
Yeah.
And I just love to run into you. You don't have to need no thanks, Patty. You suck. I can just give my address too.
Well, they could-
Friends like you
Yeah,
are
no
some of
doubt.
the worst. Sorry, Ross.
But yeah, it's a threat for anybody that they could, I mean, no matter how good your door locks are or your alarm system or whatever. I mean, I guess if you had like 7 Tibetan Mastiffs,
Yeah.
pretty safe. Or something like that.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that would, well, maybe not Mastiffs, Rottweilers.
Yeah,
They're scary.
Dobermans, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dobermans, they're scary. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Mastiffs are kind of friendly. I've never
Yeah,
really,
you could get a friendly one. Yeah, it's true. They're big, but they could be friendly.
I have never met an unfriendly Mastiff.
Yeah, that's.
Have you really? Have you ever met an unfriendly Mastiff?
I don't think so, but I haven't met that many.
Oh,
They're not the most common dogs. But Great Danes.
in
are
my
fast
circles,
dogs.
they are. I hang out with people with big dogs. But I hang out with people with dogs. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, so. Yeah, but Mastiffs
yeah.
are pretty friendly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's like-
Dobermans, a mix of Doberman and Rottweilers, and maybe a few German
Yeah.
Shepherds. Yeah.
Dobermans and Rottweilers, they scare me because they're very territorial. Not that they're like, mean, but they're territorial. It's like German Shepherds, they're territorial. They protect their hood.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah. Yeah. They know how to be scary. So yeah, like a dog. I think a dog would probably be my best protection.
Yeah, in that
I
kind of
would-
situation, that's because, yeah, I mean, the dog probably would have given him some warning because it would
Yeah.
have been barking and stuff like that. Then you would have
Yeah,
some
but
time to.
you don't have a
figure
dog,
out.
do you? Not going to barking. Here's what you do when your dog starts to bark. Shut up.
That's
Why are
true.
you barking?
He'd be
Good God,
awake
if
at
somebody
least.
sees
though.
a dog is barking, it's 2:00 in the morning. Shut him up. No one's gonna think there's a burglar in your house at 2 in the morning when the dog's barking. You're yelling at the dog to shut up. And then finally you go downstairs. What are you barking at? Why is there a guy standing in my house with a hammer? Son of a bitch. And the dog's like, told you.
I smelled it like 40 minutes ago.
The dog just gives up and asks the guy for food. Can I get some food? Because I'm gonna bark. No one's listening to me. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we do trust the dog to do. Trust the dog to like corner the guy, or growling or something. But yeah. Apparently, you don't have a dog. If you had a dog, you'd understand this. Nobody pays attention to the dog. You're yelling at the dog to shut up. Why are you barking?
Yeah, well, yeah, my parents had a Bernese Mountain Dog,
Oh.
Pyrenees mix, and it would bark quite a bit, especially if somebody's walking by that it didn't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, I got kind of, now if it did start barking in the middle of the night, that would be rare. So that might mean something. But I also tell it to shut up, but
Yes,
I'd be
there you
awake.
go. There you go. See, everybody knows with the dog. Why are you just like your fire
They'll be
alarm
like, no,
going
really,
off?
it's over here.
It's like nobody thinks when the fire alarm goes off that there's really a fire. You're just trying to, it's last time your fire alarm went off at work that you actually thought there was a fire.
Yeah, usually I think it's a drill. We actually
That's
have
right.
had a
Yeah,
real
you don't take it seriously.
Yeah, we haven't had a real fire at our work though. It was in the kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
can happen.
Yeah. But they had to tell you it was a real fire, didn't they?
Oh yeah, they totally
Yeah, see,
did.
there you go. The fire alarms are going off, the fire trucks are there, no one paid attention.
Well, as soon as I see a fire truck coming up, I either know it's an alarm, somebody pulled the alarm, or
Yeah, but you're not
it could be a
taking it
real fire. But
seriously.
usually I think it's pulled alarm.
Yeah, but you're not taking it seriously. You're logging out of your computer, you're grabbing your stuff, maybe a jacket, probably your lunch, because you don't know how long you're going to be out there. You're not taking it seriously.
I'm the evac specialist though.
Oh, see?
For the floors, I kind of have to.
Yeah, same here. But that's
Yeah.
I said, no one takes it seriously, When we really did have a fire, that was overwhelming. But yeah, that was like, get out.
Well, most people are like, this is awesome. We get to go outside. It's nice out.
Yeah, that's but like some people, like, they take their car keys and their stuff, they leave, they don't come back. You have to do like the head count. No, we're meeting here. Anybody seen Patty? No, she's over at Starbucks. This isn't a break, everybody. What kind it is. Well, okay, so I'm calm now. So looking at I'm just checking the phone, say, we invited other candidates to come in here and spout off, but they're all busy doing stuff, which brings us to final days of the election. You were at a thing last night. How did that go?
Oh, it went really well. It was at Stanley Lake High School. And there's a pretty good amount of students there. There were several candidates that were there. Let's see. Eric Upland was not there, but he did have some members of his team there. And Brittany
Patterson, she was there.
Patterson was not there.
Okay.
But there were a lot of other people there.
Well, I saw Bennett was there.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah.
And the commissioners they're running were both there. And the lieutenant governor was there. He left pretty quick though. So I wanted to get a picture with him, but he's gone pretty fast. So he looked like a really nice person though.
Oh yeah. Oh, well,
he's running. He isn't the. He's running for lieutenant governor. He's not the.
Was Michelle or Kevin there?
I did not see them there. So.
Yeah, because most people don't know, Michelle Pogue is running for lieutenant governor, and well, everybody knows that Kevin is running Bukowski. I can never pronounce Kevin's name right. I feel so bad.
Yeah, I struggle with it too, for sure.
So it's just Kevin.
Yeah, he's super nice too.
He really is.
He's a really nice guy.
He'd make a great governor.
Yeah, just really calm and.
Well, he's a teacher. I mean, it's like the best, right? Like if you're going to have a governor, have a governor that's a teacher, because you just know when everybody gets out of line, he'll be like, hey, oh, hold on, I think he just texted me. Yeah, as a matter of fact, wait, Kevin text. I just got a text from him. Yeah, I'm sure he's because he was invited to come in, and I think he's probably just saying he couldn't. He's probably
Yeah.
busy with something else. So
Oh,
yeah.
one other thing, these pocket constitutions, they went like hotcakes.
Did they
They're
really?
extremely popular. So that's good to see.
Yeah.
Because this is about the most important document that we've got is the Constitution.
Well, and let's not forget that, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that's, and hold on a second. I'm going to go off camera for a second. I'm going to keep talking to you, but I want to go off camera for a second while I check something from Kevin. But so tell me about the Constitution thing. How did did you have a chance to explain to the kids what the Constitution means?
Oh yeah, I totally did. Which is great. So yeah, I mean the first part is I mean look at this book. It's really simple, really easy to read. So that's great. That's what we want. Things that are easy to understand and read. But the other thing is the full Constitution's extremely important. If you leave out anything or think one part of it's not important, the whole Constitution starts not working. So that's one important thing to remember. Another thing is the beginning of it says we the people, and that is what's crucial for a representative to remember, that their job is to represent the people. It's not representing super PACs or lobbyists or things like that. It's all the people in the district, and that's who they're representing. And that's a cornerstone in my campaign. So it all comes from the Constitution. So the Constitution is the crucial thing that I swear an oath to protect. And that is my number one focus, plus doing what the people want, because Constitution talks about we the people. And if the representative is not doing what the people want, they're not doing their job.
See, thank you for saying that, because people need to understand that it's not about individuals, and people keep forgetting that. People keep they don't recognize that. I'm back. I was actually just texting Kevin, telling him that we're still here if he wants to come in. But people don't seem to recognize that it's become such a cult of personality in politics and that they don't recognize that it's about the Constitution. It's about protecting the Constitution, and really does come down to, it doesn't matter who your representative is, right? I mean, if we're all doing the same thing, and I guess that's like when we talk about your voter integrity, if everybody was on the same page with representing people, we wouldn't have angry mobs denying elections.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't matter who wins,
right?
Because they'd be
right. Yeah, because everybody would feel represented, and even if your person didn't get in, you would still trust the person that was there. And that's where I think like the problem is that we when we have people that aren't following the Constitution, and we know they're not following the Constitution, I think that's what bothers everybody.
big time.
Yeah.
And you could see examples of it where politicians like to pick and choose which parts of the Constitution they want to follow and which parts they don't want to follow.
Right. Yeah. Like, I think we'll pick this one, but no. It's like, well, yeah.
Or like with the First Amendment, they'll be like, oh, if we'll let them have free speech as much as they want, as long as they're saying stuff that I agree with. And then so that's another one that cracks me up, and it's awful. It shouldn't happen.
I actually, yeah, well, the whole free speech thing, that actually, I have a whole bunch of, like, I actually studied a lot of that in con law, and I think people get free speech wrong. Because like they say, well, free speech, hate speech is protected under free speech. It's like, well, actually, that's not exactly true. But you're on the right track. It's like, hate speech isn't exactly covered, but the way, but there is a way free speech is political speech. And I don't think people understand what free speech really is. So, the ability to speak freely in a political in a political context, so it's like, I just can't, and this is where it's like, I think, and libertarians get it wrong, but you have to really actually understand free speech, and we can have a whole thing on free speech, but free speech, like, people have really taken free speech interestingly, but they don't really understand free speech. I used to talk about this with DK, and I miss DK so much. And actually, that's one of the things that we actually, your campaign is.
Yeah, that's part of our ads.
Yeah. Freedom is dangerous, live dangerously. And that's DK's thing. But understanding that, when we talk about like the Bill of Rights and, and what they were trying to protect us from, it was protecting us from political tyranny. I mean, communities set their own standards for behavior. So it was political tyranny. It was rulers. That was what the Constitution was protecting us against. So it didn't give you rights in your community. Your community set its standards, but it protected you from political tyranny and political prosecution and things like this. And so, like, I'm going to use Joe Biden as an example. What Joe Biden did tonight was literally what the Constitution was meant to protect you from. That was so wrong.
Yeah, that was that was pretty bad for sure.
Yeah, I mean, but that was literally what the Constitution is there to protect you against. From somebody using their position to single you out, to stop your speech. As a politician. Now, if a community doesn't like you and they want to get together as a community and say, well, we don't like this, that's communities. You can choose to live in one community over another community. That's why gated communities and HOAs and things like that. Like, I don't live in an HOA. I mean, that's freedom to move around. But yeah, when you get into the Constitution and freedom of speech and freedom of religion and things like that, that was to stop the government from interfering with you. And people have taken it way too far. It's like when people talk about like my Fifth Amendment right, it's like incrimination is, we can talk about that too. So yeah. But that's why I love the pocket constitutions, because people actually understand what the pocket constitution is and what the Constitution is, it really becomes a very interesting conversation.
I can go really deep. I mean, some of the amendments are get really complex too. Like the 9th and 10th both get really complex.
We
And
were
a lot
going
of
to
people
do a
don't
show on
understand.
that, and we never got around to that.
Well, it's hard to find. I did find an expert, but he is not easy to get on.
Who did you find? Did you find the expert?
Yeah, Robert Levy.
Oh,
And he is the chairman of Cato, so he's not easy to get on.
well,
But
maybe
he
you
is.
can talk to Orion and get him to talk at the Jeffco meeting.
Maybe we could. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it'd definitely be remote. There's because I'm not exactly sure where he lives, but maybe, yeah. I mean, we got Spike Cohen,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think it's definitely possible. But yeah, he's pretty knowledgeable about both the 9th and 10th amendments. They kind of work together a little bit too.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun.
Yeah, that was that was an interesting speech, and it was just a sad state of affairs, really. I mean, it should have been a speech about the mental health crisis is what it should have been.
It should have been. And I'm sad for Joe Biden that he didn't see the amazing opportunity that he had. I'm sad that no one told him or showed him how he could have used this to really bring forward an issue that America needs to deal with. It's sad.
Yeah, it's a big problem. I mean, it's
Yeah.
been a problem for a while, but it's gotten worse with COVID and some other things. So
Yeah, this country's been, a baseball bat has just been taken to this country, and Joe Biden really could have just come on in and just wrapped his big grandpa arms around us and gave us a great big hug and said everything was going to be okay. And he didn't do that. And I'm so sad that he didn't do that. And I wish everybody else would be sad that he didn't do that. Unfortunately, I don't think people are going to be sad that he didn't do that. I think people are going to be either saying, I'm glad that he attacked them, and the other people are going to say, how dare he attack them? And no one's going to understand just how truly sad this was. This was a very sad moment in our country's history for everybody.
yeah, I agree. It takes a lot of work to end all this divisiveness that's been going on for years.
You know,
But
it doesn't take that much work. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. It does take a lot of work, but it doesn't take as much work as we think. What it takes is a great leader who's willing to put their anger, their hurt, and all of their pride to the side and actually see what's going on and be ready and willing to heal this country and do it despite their political ambitions.
yeah, I completely agree. And the threat is that there are a lot of people, and I'm not one of them. There are a lot of people that are separating the country or pro
Oh, I know.
that type of thing. I totally disagree with them. But the way to best address that is first acknowledge what's going on, and then everything you can to heal the country and bring it back together.
Yeah. This has got to end. This is a fractured family. America is a fractured family. And for people not to acknowledge that, and fractured families can be healed. Dysfunctional families exist, and they either get worse or they get healed, but you can't keep them fractured forever. There's something has to give on them. And usually it doesn't take much to heal them, because most people want to be healed with their family, and I just wish we would get a leader that cared enough about this country to actually do something about this. That's what I wish. If I could have my wish, I know, like you were at a forum once, and they asked you like if you could be king for a day or have a wish for a day, what would you wish for? And I remember watching that, and I thought, if I could have anything, I would have one day where everybody just got along for one day and just do what that felt like, and then carry that memory with them every time they wanted to fight. So you could just remind them, this is what it feels like.
Well, yeah, I agree. What I would like is just mutual respect for everybody and listening to what everybody has to say. If we work as a team, we all have differences. If we work together and respect everybody, we're actually more effective with all our different viewpoints and everybody being listened to than just a single group with a single viewpoint. And that's where you have a less effective solution. If you have a whole bunch of viewpoints working together, you get a good solution that addresses a whole bunch of different issues and works really well.
Yeah, yeah. There's nothing worse than being in an echo chamber. You know, I totally agree with you. The more people you can have adding to the mix, the better ideas you're going to have. You're never going to go wrong with that. You know, you're never going to go wrong with that. You know, and people say, no, trust me on this. I sit on so many committees, you know, and I love all of them because I meet the most interesting people and I hear the most interesting ideas. And I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for the people that have been in my life that I would have never had in my life if I wouldn't have been in all these diverse committees and groups and things like that and heard all their wonderful voices, you know. And I think I was a very shallow person 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You know, when I was in high school, I know I was shallow. I didn't hear anything but my own voice. Yeah.
Yeah, same. Yeah, same with me for sure.
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah.
But so, okay. Feeling much better, much less angry. Now I just feel sad for Joe Biden. So I'll say a prayer for him tonight. I'll say more of a prayer for me that I'm not angry at him. So, and I will also pray for all the people I pray. Yes, I pray. But I'll also pray for Paul Pelosi and the poor guy who attacked him, because I think he probably needs some prayers tonight too.
Yeah.
And Nancy, I'm sure she's
Yeah.
pretty distraught, and her family.
Yeah, it's definitely a scary situation.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. And for everybody else who feels that they may have been attacked and all this emotionally, you know, so let's just do a huge prayer fest tonight for everybody in the country, that everybody just kind of like chills and gets along for the next couple of days.
I agree.